My Network TV.
Live and local with coverage you can count on. This is WNEM TV5 News at 10.
Well, some gusty winds and blowing snow across mid-Michigan tonight, giving us a taste of what we will be dealing with tomorrow.
Those winds are already doing some serious damage to our temperatures. Throughout mid-Michigan, it already feels like it's several degrees below zero.
Yeah, and that cold and wind is already making travel dangerous for those brave enough to hit the roads. We will have a live report from our road warrior in just a bit. Thank you so much for watching the news at 10. I'm Colette Boyd.
And good evening, everyone. I'm David Custer. Several schools are closed, and the governor has declared a state of emergency tonight, all because of the severely bitter cold we're about to face.
That's right. Chief Meteorologist Brian Bachman has been tracking this deep freeze for us all week long now. Oh my goodness, what's going on now?
Well, it's upon us here, David and Colette. No turning around here at this point. As the Arctic chill continues to settle in tonight, it is only going to become more and more dangerous as we head toward tomorrow morning. Let's break this down point by point. We look at the air temperatures alone right now. Those cold enough. Pretty much everybody down into the single digits. Port Hope an exception there at 11 degrees, but then some sub-zero temperatures in West Branch and Houghton Lake. Then, of course, you have to pile on the winds still coming in tonight out of the west-southwest, anywhere between 10 to 20 miles per hour sustained and gusting between 25 and 30 miles per hour at times. So here's another look at the wind chills. Everybody down into double-digit negatives and by pretty wide margins, 17 degrees the current temperature in Saginaw, 15 degrees below zero the current wind chill in the Flint area, and we're down to 23 below in Clare. Houghton Lake as well down into the negative 20s, and it's only going to get worse throughout the remainder of the night. We look at places like Green Bay, Madison, both in the negative 30s. Central and northern Wisconsin in the negative 40s. Those are more likely the wind chills that we will be waking up to tomorrow morning. So with that in mind, region-wide a wind chill warning in effect all the way through Thursday afternoon, as over the next 36 hours, we're looking at wind chills anywhere between 20 to as low as 40 degrees below zero. I'll have an hour-by-hour breakdown of exactly how these wind chills will lay out coming up in your full forecast.
All right, Brian, thank you. Now, while many of us are planning to stay home tomorrow, some may have no choice but to get in the car and go to work. TV5's Kate Nadolski is out on the roads tonight as our road warrior, sharing some important necessities you should pack with you before you hit the road. Kate.
David, Colette, we are on State Street right now here in Saginaw, and it is colder than the devil's heart out here. And the bad thing is it's only going to get worse. Here's some tips on how to stay safe during this steep breeze. Temperatures are forecasted to drop into the negative 40s tomorrow. Temperatures that could be deadly.
With this extremely cold weather, especially in the face of this snowstorm, hypothermia is still a major concern.
And frostbite, too. Being outside for just 10 minutes could land you in the hospital, which is why many schools and businesses are already shut down for tomorrow. But some people don't have the option to stay home and will have to drive, even when traveling is not advised.
I have salt in the car and a shovel in the car.
But is that enough if you find yourself in the worst possible scenario? The Center for Disease Control offers some tips on what you need to have inside your vehicle to make sure you stay safe. First thing you want to do is get some kind of bag. I use just an old backpack, and our first item here is just a flashlight. Now, I have the flashlight and some fresh batteries just in case, and I would use this in case I got stranded on the side of the road to draw attention from other drivers, especially if it's dark. Now I'm going to go into the middle part of my backpack. Now we want to stay warm because these temperatures are going to be so cold. So even if you're dressed head to toe warm, you want extra. So we have an extra hat here. I have some extra mittens right inside, as well as an extra scarf. You can even put an extra coat or a blanket inside just in case. Now continuing on, a phone charger. This is super important because you always want the ability to make emergency phone calls if need be. You also want to have snacks and water. Mine is frozen, but of course we can try and warm that up if we need to drink it. It's also important to keep jumper cables, a shovel, a first aid kit, and an ice scraper on hand. April Woods, resident of Saginaw, says she's on board with making herself a kit.
That's a good idea. That's a good matter of fact. Since you said that, I'm gonna throw one in the car later on today for tomorrow.
Here's another live look at State Street in Saginaw right now. As you can see, things are still a little bit snowy out here, but I want to leave you with another tip before you go, and that is know before you go out. Make sure your destination is still open, because these conditions are nothing to joke with. And we, of course, will keep you in the loop with what's going on all around mid-Michigan throughout tomorrow. Reporting live in Saginaw, Kate Nadolski, WNEM TV5.
Kate, those tips were incredibly helpful. Thank you so much for that. Well, the cold weather causing an uptick in calls for furnace repairs, but with the huge increase in demand, if your furnace actually does go out, you could be sitting in the cold for hours waiting for help. TV5's Scott Walchek spoke with a service technician about what you can do to make sure your home is being warmed properly.
If these flames go out, it means big trouble. Your furnace is the main force keeping the bitter cold at bay. And with temperatures reaching below zero, if a furnace stops working, it's urgent.
We're probably somewhere in the 500 to 700 phone calls a day. Doesn't mean we run them all, but quite a few.
Mike Anson with Goyette Mechanical in Flint says their technicians have been slammed, trying to help as many people as they can stay warm.
Fixing them, replacing them, furnaces, rooftops, you name it. A lot of service calls we get are lack of maintenance. They could have been prevented. Had we been there in fall.
Mike's #1 tip that anybody can do to upkeep their furnace is checking their air filter. So let me show you this real quick. Just using my furnace, all I have to do is get past this panel. Right there is my air filter. It's pretty clean. If yours is dirty, you'll know it, and that's when you'll need to change it.
If they're dirty, this time of year when temperatures drop to this level and the furnace basically runs nonstop, they tend to run a little bit warmer. If you're not moving enough air through it, you're going to have some issues.
Another big tip, Mike says many people have thermostats that automatically set back the temperature during certain times of the day. He says put that feature on hold.
When the temps drop this cold outside, the furnace has a hard time keeping up by itself. So if the temperature dips and you set it back, it may take 24, 48 hours to get that temperature back up in your house.
Those air filters he was talking about can cost as little as $4, a small price to pay to save money and stay warm down the line. Live in the Continuous News Center, Scott Walchek, WNEM TV5.
All right, Scott, thank you. Unfortunately, there are people who may not have a warm home when the weather gets this bad. Several shelters are opening their doors as warming centers to as many people as possible.
That's right. TV5's April Morton continues our team coverage. She introduces us to one man who's made it his personal mission to connect those in need with community resources.
Once you know all these avenues, you can pass it on to somebody else, and sometimes these people can't even get around like today.
Joe Parks has been out today in Flint searching for people in need of shelter from the brutal cold. Once homeless himself, he knows all about the challenges of staying warm on the streets. And with the coming sub-zero temp freeze, Parks says it's crucial no one is left in the cold.
Everybody don't get reached. The way this weather is, it's hard to, for anybody to reach anything.
And so Parks is reaching out to the Flint community, letting them know resources are available, like the Catholic Charities, which provides hot meals during the winter months.
It's a warming center, so that's open 24/7. So anytime on the other side of us, we have tables and chairs and the TV on. People just get out of the cold.
Vicki Schultz with Catholic Charities says due to a very generous donation, in addition to providing shelter, they are able to get people sleeping mats, warm blankets, and other essential items needed in this bitter cold.
There is a common misconception that the homeless population are the only ones that are in need of warming centers, but in actuality, some people just don't have adequate heating in their homes.
We've had people that have full-time jobs, but they don't make enough to have their own apartment, or heat's been shut off, so it's a combination of everything. I mean, it's certainly not just homeless.
Schultz says there is availability at the warming center, and even when the capacity is reached, they will not turn anyone away. As for Parks, he says he will continue to help out as long as there's a need.
This is the least I can do. I'll try, and that's it,
In Flint, April Morton, WNEM TV5.
Well, with these kinds of cold temperatures, we cannot forget our four-legged friends. Even though they have fur, the cold is still dangerous for animals. The Michigan Humane Society strongly recommends that animals be brought inside during extreme weather as they can still experience frostbite. Symptoms of frostbite in an animal include being cold to the touch along with pale paws and ears. If you notice any of these in your pets, bring them to a warm area and contact your veterinarian.
Well, the weather has given students across Mid-Michigan an extra winter break.
Tonight at 10:30, why this may force schools to make some tough decisions later in the school year.
And a Mid-Michigan officer shot in the line of duty is making a steady recovery. We've got the details on Officer Jeff Koenig's condition.
And get your day started with the latest news and weather on TV5 Wake Up with coverage beginning at 4:30 a.m.